Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to the CPL. My name is Cold Warpgates, and sometimes my name is also Andrew, and tonight I'm joined by my friend John. Say hello, John.
Hi.
And some of you may remember John casted with me a few months ago, I think. John, there are rumors that since then you forced Larva to retire after he won the ASL so that you could steal his StarCraft powers like the aliens from Space Jam. Do you confirm or deny this?
I'll leave it up to the fans.
All right. No comment from John. But
Yeah.
what we can comment on is the games that we're going to see today. These are games from the semifinals that just finished. As you can see on screen, we're going to see these games between the Cheese Police and the Flying SCVs from the Tier 1. Now, this is only a portion of the Tier 1 games. There's two more series that will get casted at a later date. Say Zero just scheduled them separately for timing reasons. And with that said, let's just get into this game. That's enough blathering from me.
No.
Let's go. Oh, it does not pick up my game. There we go. All right. Streamlabs did not see StarCraft. It was a black screen. That was not exciting. All right.
To an excellent start.
We go in the bottom left of Fighting Spirit. It's the Orange Terran Exo. And in the bottom right, it's the Magenta Protoss Red SOS Toss. And I just realized that I think they're playing the maps in the wrong order because I think Fighting Spirit was the second map.
Wow.
We'll just play this out and see what happened. So it's either I played the replays in the wrong order or they played the games in the wrong order. I don't know.
They played the games wrong.
Let's see. Yeah.
We're always correct.
Always blame the people who can't fight back at the moment. That's my strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then gaslight them when they question you.
Yes.
It's the best strategy.
Yes. So, Exo, we have seen on stream a few times, a very solid Terran player. SOS Toss, a few seasons ago of the BSL, which is another amateur tournament, he was in my group, and for some reason, I had it in my brain that he was Zerg, so I did a Zerg opening against him, and he's clearly Protoss. Like, Toss is in his name, right? Like, so I don't know what I was thinking, and I got absolutely wrecked. Speaking of getting wrecked...
I mean, but that would be like the most brilliant cheats, right? Like, call yourself SOS Toss, but be a Zerg player.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think he did it, but, like, you can actually change your race after the countdown to start the lobby has started. Like, you get, like, 3 seconds to change it. So something like... It used to be a bigger thing online, like trying to change your race. I don't really think it's a serious thing nowadays.
And that's like 4D chess.
Yeah. Some big brain stuff right there. So Toss right here sent his probe out really early, like, but didn't go to proxy. Like, it was, I think, after the gateway finished. So I assume maybe this was to, like, hope to get a gas steal or something, because a Protoss can do this thing where they build their gas building on the opponent's gas so that the Terran can't do anything, which actually really screws up their whole game plan. Thing is, though, like, on a 4-player map, you only have a 1/3 chance of getting there in time. So I really don't like this kind of play on this map. And on the map that's supposed to be first in this series, it's a 2-player map, so it's much easier to get that in time. So I kind of feel like I don't really like this choice from Toss. Of course, it's not like that big of a deal. You know, you don't lose that much mining from sending out the scouting probe that early. Meanwhile, Exo is playing completely standard here. Actually has 2 SCVs in gas. I'm used to either seeing 3 if it's going to be like a 2-factory cheese, or 1 if it's going to be a normal game. Starting to suspect we're going to see a second factory here with this dancing SCV. Okay. There we go. Putting the 3rd guy back in gas. So this is going to be a 2-factory, which is every Protoss's nightmare. Let me tell you.
And so with like the 2-factory cheese, is that basically means he could just farm out more and better siege tanks?
Yeah, well, it's normally what there's a few variations. Probably what will happen is he'll make 3 tanks, and then as the tanks cross the map, make vultures. And then, like, ideally because the vultures are faster, they kind of get there right as the fight starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty scary to deal with as Protoss because you're used to the Terran being like defensive and trying to build up their base and everything, and so normally Protoss is really greedy at the start of the game, but actually something has tipped off our Protoss player here because he's getting a second gateway before expanding, which is pretty unusual. So I assume that he must have, like, I don't know, I don't think he saw like the factory on the very edge of his vision or something. Maybe he noticed that, you know, like, why would my Terran opponent block the ramp or something like that. Maybe he just planned to go 2-gate already, but like there is a 2-gate build, but you don't really get the second gateway way earlier. So I'm just not sure if it was a reaction or just a build that he kind of lucked into. But actually 2 gateways should stomp on 2 factory here. Although I don't like this choice, trying to go up this ramp, losing a goon for a Marine, not a trade that you ever want to make here. And the tank, of course, is still at full health. I really, like, what are you doing? Like, you have 1 goon, and it's a tank up a ramp. I don't know what SOS Toss expects to get out of this. Ooh, like a depot got canceled there. Almost trapped those tanks in there. Or turret, what is going... Turrets! Okay, so there's some big brain stuff going on in this game. I think because Terran didn't see an expansion at the right time, he thought maybe it would be like Dark Templar, so reading these turrets, but actually it's just this late 2-gate with these like rallied goons in here, and I think that's like 3 or 4 goons that have died so far, and this is absolutely like brutal for Protoss. And you can see, like, just in these small numbers, tanks absolutely clean up these goons. Oh, 1 says die, but it's basically like, what was that, like 6 goons to trade for 1 tank. Not ideal.
Yeah. And it looks like he doesn't really have anything to defend those tanks from getting into his base.
Yeah. Defending this 2-fac push is all about, like, delaying the push and building up a goon count. Like, you want, like, 6 goons at once, and then you can just deal with it. But if you keep losing goons like this, you'll never get to that count. Now, the natural nexus is going to get busted. There's mines in the Protoss base. These vultures are going to get at these probes. A nice job with this forge here, blocking out this little choke. But believe me, this is such a hard position for a Protoss to be in.
Do you think a GG's coming up?
I think so. Like, I just leave the game when it gets to this position. These mines keep killing these goons. We still have these 2 tanks here. Actually, the vulture's not getting too much done, but now the tanks are here. The mine right on the gateway. This goon's gonna have a bad time as soon as it's born. Oh, this one's stuck. Even better. And I think our Terran player here is gonna take this win.
Yep. So a part of me does think that this might be the second map because it seems like a lot of assumptions. Like if this is the first match.
Yeah, you're right. Like
they're both making a lot of really solid assumptions.
Yeah, it could be something like that. It could be like these are players who have played each other a lot in the past. Because like funny things tend to happen when you have 2 players play each other a lot and they play some kind of tournament match. Because they like try to mind game each other. So it could be something like that. But I think we can see here we have siege tanks killing all of the probes. So the probes are trying to fight tanks. I think we can safely say this game's going to be over soon.
Oh no, the 1 goon. It's going to do it.
Oh, we got it.
Oh, well.
There we go. And SOS Toss does tap out here. I'm going to take a look at these replays that I have. Because I'm pretty sure I did not host Game 2 first. No, that was Game 1.
Really?
Right. Yeah, it seems like they just did it in a slightly different order.
So what would you say was the ultimate factor behind?
Oh, never mind. So we have Exo himself in the chat saying that was Game 2. So I guess the replays were just mislabeled. But now, so now we'll get into the replay that's labeled 2, which is actually Game 1.
Excellent. Yeah. So what do you think? What's your assumption on what was the key factor behind that victory?
It was the Protoss just losing all of the goons. Like, if you have 2 gateway versus 2 factory, you should not lose. You just build up a goon count and you snipe all the tanks. Like, I don't know what he's doing, like trying to go up the ramp with 1 goon when he knew that there were Marines and tank on the ramp. Like, that will literally never ever work. But anyway, in the bottom left here of Eclipse, we're going back in time to the bluish-gray Terran Exo, who's in the chat. And in the top right, once again, in the magenta, it's red SOS Toss.
Nice.
And like I was saying, like, this map is much friendlier to the gas steal from Protoss, especially in these spawns, because you can see, like, the ramp is right here, so the probe can kind of run in really quick and get this gas, which is a thing that I like to do, because I'm a bad person. And it seems like SOS Toss might be doing that too. So here we go. Maybe this is just a thing that he does in every game, just try to go over this gas thing. Because, like, I feel like it's mostly a mental thing. Like, it just completely throws off the Terran game plan. Because, like, you can actually... There's a build that Terran does sometimes that doesn't get that gas for a while anyway. Like, they just kind of get one barracks and they get an expansion really fast, and it's like a completely viable build, right? So it's not like you've ruined what the Terran want. Like, you know, it's not like you've completely given the Terran. Oh, but look at this. Exo immediately knows what's going on, sends that SCV up right away. So it gets this gas just a little bit earlier than he would have wanted to, but it's better than getting it blocked if you wanted to do some kind of tech opening. Yeah. Very nice. So I'd like to see what the follow-up is going to be here from the Protoss. Like, if you get the gas steal off, you can put on some pressure with Zealots. So we'll have to see if he tries to force that, or if he just gives up and tries to play standard. I think it is going to be Zealots, given that we have this second pylon, like, really early here. Yeah, so he's just going to make a Zealot or two before going into Cybercore and getting that normal tech. But I think this barracks can lift off and then go here, and then it'll be a wall off. So the Zealot pressure should get shut down, I think.
That was going to be my question: is that do you think the barracks is just being built there out of convenience for the purpose of a wall?
Yeah, I think that's probably a smart choice from the Terran player. So, given that he's chosen to make this Marine before moving it, okay, it'll definitely be done in time. If he wants to move it, looks. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
All right. Okay, I really appreciate it when Terran players wall, because I feel like so many Terran players are really greedy, and then they complain when they get destroyed by, like, one Zealot coming in their base. There's another caster at the CPL, a Neblan, who plays Terran, and we always argue about this, over whether Terran should wall, because he thinks it's, like, too expensive. But, like, look at this. It really didn't cost Exo anything here, and this Marine's going to completely shut down this Zealot. So basically, like, Protoss is just really behind in tech for no reason. But he's not going to go into a normal game. He's going to proxy some DTs out here. Oh, and actually, so we have Exo going for a 2-factory again, and Dark Templars should destroy the 2-factory even harder than 2 Gateway Goon does. And that kind of explains why, like, in the first game that we saw, if that was game 2, it explains why Exo went for turrets. And actually, wow, Exo's going for the eBay here, too. I think he must have scouted the lack of expansion again. Oh my god, 3? Oh, wait. 2 gateways, 2 gateways.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I think 3 gateways out there? You're a madman.
So at this point, who do you think's got
it? Well, the fact that there's an eBay here really surprises me, because this is not a normal part of 2-factory. I feel like if Terran knows that it's DT and they just stay at home, they should be fine. But if they move out and leave their turrets, then it'll be bad for them. Oh yeah, and now that you've seen these 3 Zealots, like, you know it's Dark Templar. Like, what? Like, there's no other reason for Protoss to get these 3 Zealots.
Like that they should have more, or that there's just no purpose for having?
You normally just get good. Why did you lift off? What? Okay, they had some confusion here with the Terran, but with the tank, and these handful of Marines, the Zealots should go down. They get more damage than they deserve to, but they will be shut down. But anyway, like, normally, you just skip Zealots for a long time because they're kind of useless in most situations until they get the speed upgrade. But
oh
my
drop
god.
your
It almost doesn't really matter because these units are just trickling in here. But really, yeah, you should close the wall. Oh, the DT actually gets past the turret because he was distracted by the Zealot. And now there's no detection down here. Desperately trying to build a turret, gets picked off immediately. This is absolutely scary. Wait, is there a turret under the... Oh my god. What a genius. I didn't even see that. Oh my god. Absolutely sick. Saves the mineral line. Still a tiny little bit here where the DT can be seen, or cannot be seen. But, you know, can't completely shut down mining here. But
oh,
still,
that's clever though.
yeah, I don't like that's pretty sick hiding that turret. But you can't cover everything, so this DT is gonna find somewhere to deal damage. Exo wisely choosing to block the ramp, don't let any more in. But while all this chaos is going on, we have the Protoss expanding here. And even though it's later than normal, like, the Terran is still on one base, so this is good for Protoss.
He's literally on fire.
Yeah. Things are literally on fire. Oh my god, another DT gets in. This one might get cleaned up, but... Trying to kill his machine shop before the upgrade can finish. Wait, is that turret?
Was built.
Are you serious? What? I cannot believe that turret does not see that DT. That's nuts. Alright, I think there's no more DTs in the base of Terrans. Terran is finally, like, secured themselves. Protoss is going to donate these units for free here. And actually, given that those units have been donated, like, there's no defense for Protoss right now. Just trying to make some more goons. Oh, but there is one DT out on the map, and there's no mobile detection for Terran. So this DT might clean up the whole attack by itself, unless it walks into mines.
Do mines have detection?
So they don't reveal the unit, but they will trigger on the unit on a direct deploy. So it's kind of like the jank way to get rid of them if you have nothing else. And my cat has gotten in front of my screen and is blocking the mini-map, so I have no idea what's going on here. Let me get him out of the way. There we go. Alright.
Ash or Gary?
It's Ash. Gary's asleep in his little box here. So given that one last clutch DT, I think Terran has wisely decided to stay back at home. And oh my god, there's no turret. The natural. These DTs are just getting way more value than they ever deserve to. So brutal. And now I think Protoss is going to take their third base here down in the bottom right, and there's no way the Terran can deal with that for a long time. Oh, these mines might clean up this DT, finally!
Oh.
But so much damage has been done, there's even one more DT coming. This is why Terran players hate this matchup. Like, this is what made Artosis the man that he is today. Like, Protoss is getting away with this, like, razor-thin defense here and getting 3 bases, and all because of these Cape boys.
Well, he was able to finish that turret just in time.
Yeah. Because we've had this very crazy game, but I feel like it's going to stabilize now into a more normal-looking game. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, despite all of the shenanigans that have happened here, Terran has more workers. Like, I think when this third Nexus finishes, Protoss should pull ahead a little bit. But, like, I don't know if SOS Toss was, like, cutting probes for a long time on purpose to fund all this stuff, but it means that he's not ahead. He's not as far ahead as I thought. I saw all these DTs get off here. We have the Terran scanning this location, looking for a third base, not finding it, but sending this Vulture here. Might find this base in the bottom right. It's a very smart move to check these bases. I am so bad at it. Like, I always forget to check one base, and that's, of course, where they hit their base. Every time.
Well, and it looks like he just parked that Vulture down there.
Oh, no, he's not checking this base. Here we go. Going to clean up this little proximity here. It's not super critical for Protoss. Like, I don't think you really expected to get much more value out of these gateways. Losing this tech kind of hurts because you want it for tech later in the game, but, like, you know, you're not really going to cry about it. Although, I guess you could try really hard to keep these brand new buildings alive. Vultures just scoot away. So I don't know. I keep like going back and forth about how who I think it is ahead, but I think like so Protoss is doing damage, but he keeps like resetting his own army count by trading away units, and meanwhile Terran is building up like a nice tank count here, and he's got up to 4 factories, so I think we're going to see a very dangerous push here, and now there are these scanners on the map to kill any DTs, so SOS Toss...
And was that a starport in the...
Yes, might even get some science vessels, which will absolutely put an expiration date on any DTs here. And like, what, like... So Protoss has 2 gateways in his main base, and these 2 over here that don't really make anything. Like, 2 gateways is not going to cut it. And oh my god, I thought we were going to see arbiters, but I think, yeah, so SOS Toss is going for carriers, which can be really good on this map, but they take so long to build. Like, I think if the Terran player here like tried to push across the map, he would absolutely win this game. Like, it takes like literally like 4 minutes for carriers to come online.
Oh.
It's like they take forever to build, and then they have to build their fighters, and like just 2 of them is kind of useless. So like, do you want 4 or 6? Like it takes a long time. But it seems like EXO here is just trying to get a 3rd base up. Isn't really thinking about being aggressive because, of course, you know, he doesn't have complete map vision like we do.
Now, would the carriers be effective against the tanks? Is that why you make that choice?
Yeah, it's like if you can get to a critical mass of carriers, it's just really hard for a Terran to stop. You basically have to rely on Goliaths, but that takes more time from your factories building like tanks and vultures that are good versus the ground units. So it's hard for Terran to like balance that correctly. And then on a map like this, where you have all of these cliffs and like bases in the corner, and oh my god, I didn't realize there's a Terran base down here. That's really funny. He's gonna be disappointed when these carriers pop. Like, anyway, on a terrain like this, like carriers can really abuse that and try to get away from the Goliaths. But this is really funny. Like, I love when the 2 players expand right next to each other and don't realize it. Like, they both had the thought to go down here, but they didn't have the thought to like check the other base.
Perfect.
Thing is though, like, this base is absolutely screwed as soon as these carriers move at all, because there's not going to be any defense here.
No. Now, the only downside with that, though, is that tips off to Terran what's coming.
Yeah.
But by then, it's probably too late.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that we were up to 3 Stargates, which is absolutely wild. Like, we're going to be at 5 carriers pretty soon, and then 6 when this one pops. Yeah. That's the real danger zone, and there's no Goliath yet. So I think Exo has not seen anything about this at all. Yeah, he keeps scanning like bases, and like he's looking at the front to see what the army is, and there's even an armored tribunal now, which is usually like you get that or carriers. So I don't know if that was on purpose, but it's like a sick mind game here. If you see this, like, you're never gonna expect carriers.
Well, and if he's constantly scanning the same area, right, as SOS TOS, that might inform you to make one of those mind games.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So we do have a drop. It's gonna try. It'll end up finding this base, but it'll also end up finding 3 carriers, who should clean it up pretty easily. So definitely going to be a disappointment. Terran player here.
Tanks and vultures gone too.
Yeah. We can see immediately a round of Goliaths in production, but it's kind of too late now. Like, it's starting to add, you have like 3 on the board, and you're going to add to 4, and there's already, I think, at least 6 carriers on the map somewhere, so it's really scary. And it's given a Protoss time to build a decent ground army here, so it's going to be really hard for Terran to deal with. But he did manage to evacuate this base, and actually Protoss decided not to bother killing it, so it's technically still here. Both the armies actually going around each other. So we might end up with a base trade here, but I think this is going to favor the Protoss, given they have more bases.
Well, and they're basically just went all the Goliaths.
Yeah, but there is a huge amount of takes here. Like, I feel like Protoss has to expect something.
Ooh.
Okay, we have 1 carrier popping. Yeah, we're just straight up seeing who can kill buildings faster here. Oh, but the tanks are being really dumb with the pathing, like blocking each other out here. Look at this, like, where are they going right now? I guess, are they going down here?
Oh, to take out the starports.
But that's where the carriers are going to spawn, so I feel like they can probably deal with it. Meanwhile, Terran will not be able to produce any more units, really. Like, these carriers are going to camp right on top of the factories. And supported with the goons, like, I don't think we're going to see any kind of Goliath count come up here. I like the space here in the top left. This might be the last building for Terran.
Oh wow, the carriers are pulling out.
Yeah, it seems like he's decided that he's already dealt a crippling damage here. He's going to try to save his own bases. Try to save these carriers. But look, there's no more Goliaths here, so all of these units cannot shoot up. What is going on here? Maybe just pylons in the Terran base. We have factories flying to the top left. Terran is in shambles.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty much a GG.
Yeah, I just think, like, Exo was just, like, in the wrong mindset after holding those DTs. I feel like he thought he was way behind and he couldn't attack, but if he had, like, a map pack, he would know that there were, like, 2 Dragoons on the board, and he would have just attacked before, like, even the first 2 carriers were finished.
Oh, and that's interesting. He built turrets, I think, as a way to initially take out that base, and then was just like,
yeah.
Screw it.
Maximum BM here. But I think this is over, and I think that's going to mean that we are going to go to game 3 here. So we'll be 1-1 between these 2 players. There's, like, not even room to land all of the factories here in the space, so they have to keep going. Carriers are slowly getting across the map.
I am surprised, though, that he hasn't, like, GG'd.
Well, So like, this is the thing that they talk about in like pro tournaments. Like, even if you know that you've lost the game, you can still take time to like think about what happened or think about what you're gonna do in the next game. And now like you're not invested in it, so you don't really like feel bad as you keep losing the game, but the other player still has to like deal with it, right? Like they still have to try to finish the game, so you're still like taxing them, and that might add up in the later games of the series, right?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there we go. The Terran does win game 1 out of this series. So we're going to go back. We're going to join the correct timeline and go to game 3 now.
I would say that it's kind of interesting if you think about it, that both games were effectively lost because either people pushed at the wrong time or they didn't push, right? Like it was a timing issue.
I mean, that's one of the really hard things in this game, like, is evaluating like what the status of the game is, like how strong am I compared to my opponent. It's really, really hard to do because your information is so limited. So I'm really curious to see, are we going to see something like that in this third game, or are we going to see a smoother, more standard game here? All right, now we're on the map Ascension in the 12 o'clock spawn here. Once again, in the magenta is red.sos toss. By the way, if your name has red in it, I think you legally have to pick red. Like, magenta is like pretty close, but like, just pick their, like, red is a color, just pick it.
Yeah.
Anyway, down here, randomly getting this kind of, army green, I don't know. We have the Terran player, Exo. So this map is like, I don't know like how old it is for real, but it was kind of just brought into the scene. Like, it's in the Big Korean tournament, and it was brought into CPL for this season. So it's new to a lot of us, and I hate it. I hate playing on this map. Like, I don't mind like watching games on it, but it's so awkward to play on. Like, so first of all, there's no ramp to your natural. It's like a flat choke here, which can be awkward. And then your natural base comes out to this weird little area, which is like, there's a tiny choke here, and there's a ramp to go up. It's so awkward to leave your own base, especially with a big army. Like, units get so lost. And then, like, it's not clear in the middle sometimes, like, what's high ground and what's not, and there's just awkward paths and stuff. It's a very difficult map to play on for any race, I think.
Is this like a legacy map from like 20 years ago, or is this like a new?
I think it's relatively new, but I'm not sure. It's just like, I don't know. This, like, people try to make maps different. I think it's good to not have all the maps be the same. It's just this one in particular, I do not feel comfortable on.
So what do you think is there a preferred strategy then on this map?
I mean, so it's a bit better for aggression, but I think both players are tired of like having the game ride on these early attacks, so they're both doing pretty standard stuff right now. Just because of like your natural's kind of open, and this choke not having a ramp is worse for a defender.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, you definitely have to be aware of your opponent's army positioning, because if you get caught out here, it's very punishing, because it's hard to retreat and you can get screwed by the high ground. We have NCX in the chat telling me that this map is new, so that's good to know.
Okay.
There has recently been like a rebirth of the professional map making scene. Like, tournaments are kind of a mix of maps that are 10 years old and maps that have just been made. So it's really cool to see that.
It's just, you would think that like if it's a new map, it would be designed in such a way, like to avoid things like pathing issues, because you had 20 years of playing the game.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
how
Like there are lots
the
of
limitations of the engine.
like there are like sometimes maps will change small things on purpose to fix some of these pathing issues, but like you know, they're mostly like purpose made for the ASL, which is a tournament of the best 24 players in the world, right? So like they kind of expect the players to know how to deal with it, and then if it sucks for new people, then they don't really care, right? Because the game's already hard to sell for new people anyway. So some of these like this one isn't too bad for pathing, but like some of them that come out are just complete nightmares for pathing if you haven't memorized the exact algorithm that you use to get around here. By the way, I said that players would not be leaning on this early aggression. I completely lied here because we have 2 factory again. For the 3rd game in a row, EXO does not want to play a macro game. And we have 2 gates in reaction here, and actually a robo. I haven't been looking at the scouting too closely here, so I'm not sure. Again, I don't know if this is a situation where the Protoss sniffed out the 2 factory or what, or if both players just want to all in. But I think we're going to see a repeat of game 2 here with these goons being so aggressive, just unnecessarily. Like, now that you've seen this, you know exactly what it is, and this is very smart. Don't try to be cute here. Don't try to micro. Just run away. Try to get up as many as possible. No, you need to sell it too. Oof. But we at least have these 2 more goons coming. Maybe you can stall for 2 more. Like 4 is like if you're an absolute god, you could win this. But like 6, like you should be okay. We'll see here. And there is a Reaver coming. If the Reaver can get up, that will stop this push. But it takes a long time to build.
I was going to ask, what's why is he building the robotics facility?
Yeah.
But
The Reaver's really good, but yeah, there's just not enough time. The goons, they get popped one by one. Now Terran is in the space. Like, we might have this one Reaver, but unless you're like the best in here, I don't think you're gonna be able to do this. The gateways are being camped. Terran is spreading out, so it's not like one Scarab will kill all of these tanks. The mineral line is under fire here. Here we go. But the thing is, like, these tanks are very well positioned, so that they will defend each other from the.
Well, and then there's 2 mines.
Oh, it gets popped right away. And I think EXO has taken this serious. If your 2-fac doesn't work, just keep doing it.
Pro tip.
Yeah, never give up with the 2 factory. I think this mine's gonna kill everything. Okay, there we go. 1 probe trying to kill. The probe kills the vulture. What a hero! But there's literally nothing left for Protoss. 16 kills on that vulture. That's nuts. And all the other vultures have 0 kills. So this one vulture just stole all of the kills. What a dick.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And it's only Sergeant. Like, that just doesn't seem right.
Another Reaver does spawn here. It's getting a lot of value, but even if you kill all of these units, it is 1 probe to 30. Oh my god, yeah, as we see, EXO
yeah, he's already building back.
Yeah, like there's no pressure on EXO now. Like, he's getting a starport, he's gonna get a Wraith here. The Wraith will kill the shuttle, and the Reaver's life will be over. There's 1 HP on this Reaver. If it runs into any mines, it's dead. It's not gonna be able to get any damage done with this drop. I cannot believe how determined these players are to not leave these games.
I mean, it could be that he's hoping that, Terran just doesn't have anything in his face.
Yeah, I mean, like,
to stop him.
If you have a Reaver and a shuttle, like, you might as well try. Because these things can be really dumb sometimes.
Drop it behind the mineral line.
Yeah. Oh, but this Wraith, when this Wraith comes out, it's absolutely over. Because it'll just kill the shuttle. No, the turret under the eBay again. The EXO #1 special right there. Hiding turrets under E-base.
I've never seen such brilliance.
There you go. And SOS Toss taps out. What a series. That was one of the weirdest, most unusual PvT series I've ever seen.
I liked it.
Yeah, there was some exciting games there. And that is going to mean that the flying SCVs will take the first series of the night. Yeah, we have Nightcat in the chat pointing out that this is the semifinals. Like, your team gets removed from the tournament if you lose too much. So, you know, it makes sense. You're not gonna leave that game if you don't have to.
Yeah. Oh boy, Zerg v Zerg.
Oh yes, I think we're gonna be in for some more fast games here. ZVZ is infamous for being the fastest matchup.
Is it basically just whoever's like rush is better?
Pretty much. In the top right, it's the Black Zerg, A-Bug, fighting for the Cheese Police, and in the bottom left, it's the Green Zerg, Type 100. So this matchup is like Mutas and Zerglings are basically just, they destroy every other Zerg unit. And like, because of how larvae work, like, you can't afford to make that many drones, because if you spend larvae on drones, your opponent spends those larvae on lings and they come to kill you. So it's like a very low economy, like low unit count matchup where your micro like pretty much determines the whole thing.
I mean, they look at least economy-wise and stuff pretty much like on par with each other.
Well, so this point where you get to 9 drones is where you see most of the divergence. And actually, so A-Bug did this trick where you start building the extractor, and then your supply goes down to 8, and then you make a drone, so it goes back to 9, and then you cancel the extractor, so it goes up to 10. And he's doing this to get this hatchery started earlier, but this is not for economy. If you want to get the early hatchery to, you know, boost your income, you get it on 12 supply. This is just to get the larva to get more lings. So what A-Bug is going to do here is just get speed lings and just like rally them at his opponent. And meanwhile, Type 100 is doing something much more standard here. I think this is a 12 pool, which is sort of like the safer, like kind of midway between. Oh yeah, it's gonna be 12 pool into a hatchery. So this is like the kind of like safe, like I'm gonna get some more money kind of build, and this is gonna be really rough here. This is something that we see a lot in this matchup. Is like A-Bug is gonna have a window of time where he has the speed upgrade and the extra larva. So he's gonna have like this like minute-long window where he has a big advantage. But if Type 100 can survive, like, he should have the tech advantage here. The tech and the money advantage. Although actually, now I look at it, like, the speed upgrade is like pretty much at the same time for both these players.
Yeah, it looks like Type 100 will have it maybe just 5 seconds.
Yeah, we'll see. But that actually makes a big difference. Like, it's funny because, like, you wouldn't think that in a melee unit versus melee unit fight that the move speed does all that much, but oh my god, it makes a huge difference. It's because, like, the speed ones would get like much better surrounds on the slow ones. So here's a Type 100. The lair is on the way. Once this is done, we'll see a Spire, and if those meters come out, it's a big advantage over the Ling-only player. I feel like Type 100 should know what it is, like, just based on the timing here. Oh, but A-Bug does a nice move here with the surround, kind of keeps these lings outside, and now Oh my god, big surround on the Lings of Type 100, so even if they have speed, they take a bunch of casualties here.
Well, and it looks like both have their speed upgrade.
Yeah. Oh, a small loss here for a bug, but as you can see, there's just a string of Zerglings heading down here. And now, like, both players have the same larva, so they should be able to make the same amount of Lings, and a bug has an advantage for now. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, all these Lings that spawn here get wiped out. They kind of come in piecemeal, but that leaves a bunch of Lings standing for a bug here, and this natural hatchery is going to go down. That's only going to make this worse with less larva. Oh, but I didn't even notice this. There were Lings of Type 100 in the mineral line, so there's only 6 drones left for a bug. But honestly, I think that's enough to support constant Ling production out of 2 hatcheries. There we go. Type 100 trying to mount a defense here at the bottom of the ramp, but I think there's just too many Lings for bug. Oh my god, please finish the hatchery. Like, it's got 200 health. There we go.
Nice.
There we go, Type 100
Oh.
does tap out.
Wow,
And
that is no joke.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, like, now you're just behind. Like, you have half of the unit production of your opponent, so, like, you're kind of screwed. That's CVZ, baby.
So what was that down to? Just
That was kind of the builds, and I feel like Type 100 didn't read it correctly. Like, I feel like if you see what it is, then you just be defensive, and you should be okay. Or at least, like, that's going to be your best bet. But, like, he tried to attack and got surrounded.
Mm.
Then from there, like, it's hard to recover.
So predictions for this one?
Dude, I don't know. I don't understand this matchup. I'm a Protoss player. It's too big brain for me. In the top right, once again in the green, is Type 100, and the victor of the first game now in the red, a bug in the top left. So both players scouting the wrong direction with their first Overlord here, which is going to deny them some very important information about what their opponent is doing. So anyway, like, about this matchup, like, I think I understand the builds and, like, what the purpose of a build is, but I can't predict who's going to win a fight. Like, I have no idea. When I see, like, 12 Lings versus 12 Lings on the screen, I have no idea who's winning. I just
Is it just down to micro at that point?
Yeah, like who gets better surrounds, and, like, who doesn't have Lings that are stuck in the bag not fighting, stuff like that. But the worst is when it's Mutalisk versus Mutalisk, because, like, they're all stacked on top of each other, and you have no idea who's hitting who, and, like,
yeah,
when you're in the game, like, it's pretty much, it's really hard to get a solid idea of how many mutas your opponent has, because they're, like, stacked so tightly on top of each other. So it seems like we have Type 100 going for a 9-pool speed. Meanwhile, A-Bug seems to be going for a 12 hatchery here. So now, A-Bug, who went for the aggressive build in the first game, is going to get the more greedy build. And Type 100, I feel like 9-pool gas, like, is the standard build in this matchup. So again, we're going to have that window of time here where Type 100 has speed links and A-Bug does not. If A-Bug can survive that time, then they'll just have 2 bases, right? So it's really going to come down to micro here when these links show
up. It's funny, now they're pushing towards each other almost at the same time.
Yeah. You can see, like, I mean, you know, this is the nature of a mirror matchup. Like, things come out at very similar times.
I was say, A-Bug looks like he got his Overlord out just a little bit sooner.
Yeah, it's because he got this Overlord on 9 or on 8, I think, whereas Type 100 built these buildings first. Oh, but so the thing is, you don't drone scout in this matchup, so Type 100 actually doesn't know where A-Bug is, so kind of has to guess. And since he didn't see an Overlord from this direction, right? Like he's kind of hedging his bet here that it's cross map, but it's not. So he's going to get here, realize that he was bamboozled. Now he's going to know that it's in the top left, but this is going to give A-Bug some critical time here to build up. And oh my god, we have a third hatchery and a creep colony. So I think NCX called it out. I'm pretty sure like 2 weeks ago I casted A-Bug do the strategy where he gets Hydralisks, which is like not a thing at all in a Pro ZVZ match, but we see it a lot in CPL. But this is going pretty well for Type 100. A-Bug has to pull these drones, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The lings from A-Bug are pretty much wiped out. This little choke here is doing great for the defender. That's really hard to engage. Try to get this creep on it. Look at how fast this builds, by the way.
I mean, why, like in the middle of like an attack, do the creep colony?
Because if you make it a sun colony, then it's like a turret, so it'll keep you alive. But it's hard to get up in time. I think he's done it, and the drone count isn't that much lower than his opponent. So this might be A-Bug with a hold here. We might see some memes going on, although the Spire is started and A-Bug is not even mining gas. So Hydralisks in ZVZ, like, it should not be a thing. Like, they're actually just bad, assuming like both players are playing perfectly. But people in the CPL like to play them because it's fun to be different. And like, if your opponent doesn't know how to play versus them, they can misplay. So I'm pretty sure that's the build that A-Bug is going for here. Like, he meant to get Hydralisks and like turtle up here until he has a big ball of Hydralisks, but I think the attack from Type 100, even though it didn't like wipe out A-Bug, it really set back his clock, because we see like nothing that will stop these mutas when they come out. Like, the gas is not even started. We finally have the Evo chamber, which will let him get anti-air spore colonies, but I don't know. It's gonna be really hard. So we'll just have to see how it works out. I think it's like both players know what the situation is because they have these overlords in the base of their opponent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, like, the timing on these 4 colonies is going to be, like, perfect. It's pretty much right when these mutas spawn. So maybe, you know, maybe the A-Bug here, like, he knows the timing is better than I do. I just feel like you should start gas at some point, right? Like, you can't just sit at home and make 4 colonies. It seems like Type 100 knows that he's under no threat now, like, so he can safely get his own natural expansion.
Oh, and with that Overlord down, he's now behind on supply.
Yeah, that does block production here. Of course, A-Bug is already up 5 drones, which is a very sizable lead in this matchup. Oh my god, look at this. Spore colonies don't cover this corner of natural mineral line. We get to see another one. And this is going to help Type 100 match the drone count of his opponent. Just try to get as much damage done as possible before this one more spore finishes. And still, there's still no gas. Like, so until there's gas, like, Type 100 is completely
he's
sick.
building gas in the top.
There you go, you caught it. So finally, we're going to see some development on tech here. Where's the mutas go? There they are. Okay. Now they're going to try to poke around in the main, I think, but these 2 spore colonies are placed much better. They cover everything. Except this Overlord. Oh no, what's he doing out here in the middle of nowhere? That's been set back. Hey, Bug, again. So I think Type 100 is just going to play this the straightforward way. It's just going to get more and more mutas, and eventually just have enough mutas that you can overpower the spore colonies. Um, so there.
So then,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so then what does A-Bug need to do right now to win?
Well, so the thing with this Hydra strategy, there's another meme unit, the Queen, that has a spell called Ensnare that like puts this goop on a bunch of enemy units, and that goop slows down their move speed and attack speed. So like if you can get it off on mutas, then Hydras can kill them because mutas can't get away and they can't really fight. So I feel like that is going to be A-Bug's like win condition, is get a bunch of Hydras and get some Queens and try to kill all of the mutas. But like it's a really uphill battle. We do have a big flood of Lings here that I didn't even notice, but I think there's enough mutas here, honestly, that they can kill them. And we already have some sunks coming up in the base of Type 100. So Type 100 is definitely aware of this threat. And yeah, the Lings are deciding to go back. I feel like this is like a Groundhog Day. They're like, oh, no, it's going to be 8 more weeks of Mutalisks.
Like, I'm just surprised as to why he thought that would be possible.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard, given that he doesn't have any more vision of his opponent. He might have been like, oh, hope maybe he made too many drones. Oh, you know what? I bet he forgot that he didn't have link speed because we saw link speed start right away when that happened. And we do finally have Hydras coming out, along with some upgrades here. So the thing that makes Hydras not that good is there's this like hidden damage system in StarCraft that the game never tells you about. Like you have to either notice it or like read the Prima strategy guide. So there's 3 damage types and there's 3 unit sizes, and Hydras do explosive damage, which does so it'll do 10 damage to large units, 7.5 damage to medium units, and 5 damage to small units. So Lings and Mutas are both small. So
really,
yeah. So the Hydra does half damage to all of the units of the other Zerg player, right? So it's just
interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Whereas the Ling and the Muta deal normal damage, which does full damage to all targets, which is clearly much better.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, look, now we have 10 Mutas here, which can just kill these 2 spore colonies, and like there's not a sizable amount of Hydras yet to defend it. The main is getting shut down. All these drones are trying to hide in the gas geyser. Oh my god, no. The spore colony has 5 HP. Oh
what?
No, he left too early. I guess there actually were way more Hydras than I thought. Enough to scare away those Mutas, but not kill too many of them. And now this main is like never going to be safe. And look, Type 100 just goes right back in here.
Yep.
He even catches these 2 Hydras and another Overlord. So many have been killed here in this game. Like, this is why you don't go for Hydras. It's so hard. But I like the commitment. I mean, like, Type 100 is even up to 20 drones, which is like absolutely unheard of in this matchup.
Is it because is it just like a surplus to be able to build more mutas?
Yeah, like normally you stop at like 12 at most. Because you just can't afford to make more drones than that, because you have to constantly be making mutas to kill your opponent's mutas. Oh, and A-Bug is even getting a Spire of his own, probably to get Scourge, which are like those air suicide units, which can be good against mutas.
Are they like an AoE attack?
It's only a single target, but so they deal 110 damage, and mutas have 100 at 20 health. So like ideally, you have 1 Scourge hit each muta, and then you clean them up with your own units. Okay, though, a big fight here. Type 100 not even running away, not really even microing, just A moving, and actually there might be too many Hydras for this really close fight. I actually have no idea who's going to win this. We have 1 armor on the mutas versus 1 attack on the hydras. It's just really close.
It looks like the mutas got it.
Seems like the mutas well win. That will expose this mineral line and the tech here. And Type 100 has almost 3 times the drone count of his opponent. Oh, Type 100 doing a great job with that micro there. This is like one of the most intense micro battles that you'll ever see in this game. Like, you don't have Muta Scourge versus Muta Scourge, but like when you see that, it's really intense because like you have to tell each Scourge to hit 1 Muta, right? Because if they hit 2, like if like 3 Scourge hit 1 Muta, then it's a complete waste. There we do have a bug tap out. That's going to bring us to game 3. But yeah, I mean, like, it's cool to see that Hydra build, but like, there's a reason that you literally never, ever, 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 ever see pro players go for it. Like, it's really hard. You're just playing from behind. Like, I feel like you have to rely on being way better than your opponent, or them just like not knowing how to deal with mutas, and it seems like Type 100 did, or not knowing how to deal with hydras. It seems like Type 100 did know what to do. So let's get into game 3 here. I want to see if we see the same hydra thing again or not. All right, in the bottom left of Ascension, it's the green Zerg Type 100. In the bottom right, A-Bug, the Hydra hero. Oh, and this is actually a huge deal. So Type 100 is scouting in the wrong direction, but A-Bug randomly picked the right direction. This is going to be like a minute of information advantage here for the Red Zerg. The thing is, like, these are so slow that you don't get that information before you decide what build you're doing, but you get to kind of count like a larva they're using and stuff like that.
So basically you pick a strategy, and then once your overlord kind of gives you some scouting, you basically have to do a quick assessment. Was your strategy the right one?
Yeah, and then like you can tell like how many lings did they make, how many drones did they make, like how fast is he getting his lair, like stuff like that. So like you won't be able to change your strategy, but you'll be able to like react correctly. Like there's like different follow-ups based on what they do. Also in chat, we have Mediocre asking if the Hydra thing happened in the first game. It did not. A-Bug did like a 10 hatch ling all-in and won the first game. So let's see here, both players going up to 12 drones here. Looks like it's going to be, a 12 hatchery from both players. So we might be in for a relatively long ZVZ here, both players. Like, I think it just takes like so many balls to go for 12 hatchery in a ZVZ, like the most aggressive matchup. You're like, whatever, I'll get a base first thing. Like I could not be Zerg. Like this matchup would stress me out way too much. It's just like big cojones.
And so with that, is the strategy basically just pumping out as many Zerg as many lings as possible?
Yeah. So it's like in like sometimes in a normal DBZ, like they'll get this hatchery and they won't put a drones at it because they just don't have enough drones to like justify it. Like they just want the larva. But like it's kind of greedy. Like the normal thing is to get like your pool on 9 and then your gas on 9 and be on 1 hatchery and kind of get like a faster spire.
It looks like if you're looking at like the resources and stuff wise, Type 100 is just like 5 seconds ahead.
Yeah, it's just something that we see. It's in CPL sometimes. Like one player will be like 5 to 10 seconds ahead, and like it'll kind of like slowly compound.
Where that 5 seconds becomes enough to win.
Yeah, especially like when you're dealing with like things like mutas coming out, where like they can make a huge impact as soon as they are on the board. Oh, and now we are starting to have some divergence here. Like A-Bug is getting more drones and is kind of getting this a spore colony, or sorry, a sunken colony. So we might be seeing a return to the Hydra build, honestly. Oh no, we do have a lair. Okay. So actually, what's happened here is Type 100 has made a bunch of lings, whereas A-Bug has made a smaller number of lings, more drones, and this sunken colony. So A-Bug, despite I'm pretty sure going for a muta build, still choosing to be like more defensive and get more drones up.
And so with the lair, do you think he's going to go back to doing mutas?
Yeah, because like you don't need a lair for Hydras. So there we go. We have the Spire started for both players, and like this might favor A-Bug because like they're kind of going for the same build, but A-Bug is just being a little bit greedier. Here we go. Type 100, as soon as this Overlord gets in here, sees all of these drones, sees the smaller link count. We do see this move out, but actually now that I look at it, they've managed to equal out pretty much exactly. So I think A-Bug should be safer with the sunken colony. I think this game is going to be decided by the Muta Micro, which will be exciting because that's like classic ZVZ. Type 100, like kind of hanging out here, like maybe trying to go for a backstab at some point, but I don't think A-Bug is going to leave his base anytime soon.
I mean, that would prove to be kind of fascinating, is going in and doing the backstab.
Yeah. I mean, like if A-Bug gets too greedy and like tries to cross the map or something, these links from Type 100 would pounce right away, and they would pretty much clean out the entire base. There we go. We do have mutas starting to pop, and Type 100 actually opts to get one less muta and get 2 Scourge. So maybe more confident in his Scourge micro here. Actually, A-Bug, I think, with the faster gas, actually made way more mutas. I think we saw 5 in the production queue here. Yeah, with the 5th one that's about to finish. And meanwhile, F100 is only at 3 with the 2 Scourge here, so definitely an advantage for A-Bug. And A-Bug, again, getting a bunch of Spore Colonies. So I think, like I've said, like, A-Bug just likes playing more defensive, likes to get lots of drones. Type 100 seems to have picked up on that, is back to 20 drones again. Although this time, it comes at the cost of the muta count here. Well, 5 is bigger number than 3, so it's going to be really scary here. There's nothing to defend these main drones.
But if his Scourge micro is better.
Yeah. We'll see here. Oh. The Scourge do a good job there. One hit reached them, but even after that, it's forward 3. But A-Bug is not interested in taking a fair fight here, just going to kill as many drones as possible. Single-minded.
I think he took out a total of 9 if he started at 20.
Yeah. So
wow.
A 5 drone lead is pretty big. Type 100 is immediately rebuilding it, though. And now all of the mutas are dead for A-Bug with no reinforcements, really. Or, I mean, no kills on the other side. Type 100 tries to do that backstab. The drone with the dinosaur egg comes out and drives it away. There's a bunch of Scourge here. They are hunting for muta kills in vengeance.
Yeah, I think at this point it almost looks like an A-Bug.
You'll see, I can't believe Type 100 is back up to 20 drones. He just made 9 drones. Oh my god, that's not what you want. That is really not what you want. Like, it could be nice to like supply block your opponent by killing their supply thing here, but like Scourge costs gas, and Overlords only cost minerals, and gas is really precious because it can go into more mutas. So that is really not what you want to get out of like 6 Scourge or whatever that was.
Oof.
Someone in my neighborhood is putting off fireworks. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but hopefully that doesn't show up on the mic. The thing is, after all of that droning, A-Bug actually has a significant muta lead again. This is, yes, 9 to the 5 of Type 100, and there's no spores here. Type 100 is living on the edge, trying to rebuild this muta count, but that's going to be rough here.
So if like A-Bug were to attack right now, do you think that would be an A-Bug win?
Yeah, I mean, it's 10 mutas and 6 Scourge to... Oh, here we go. Well, it's 9 mutas and 6 Scourge, so it's really hard to keep on top of what's going on here. But, I mean, right now it is a 1 muta lead, but, like, that is probably within the realm of micro, especially with Scourge. Like, they can be very high variance here. But there definitely was a window when it was, like, 7 mutas to, like, 4. Here we go. A-Bug is making the call to move out. And oh my god, Type 100 trying to get a 3rd base. That's like even more rare than Hydra's, honestly. Alright, here we go. Scourge from Type 100 chasing down these mutas here. I can't tell how good those hits were. Oh my god, those hits were huge though. A-Bug destroying the mutas of Type 100 with the Scourge here. Oh my god. So, a 1 muta lead turned into 6 versus 2.
Well, why is he retreating?
I guess because these 3 are low, but like I feel like you really should not be retreating. Like you should just be YOLOing on the drones again, I think. But he's probably worried about like having them die when new things pop out. There you go, waiting for some reinforcements. Joining up, now it's going to be 10 mutas to 5. 6 maybe.
With a couple more on the way.
Yeah, we'll see here. It's just so hard to make that kind of call in game. Like I'm always worried that like my army is getting wiped out after I win a fight. Here you go. Without these spore colonies, with more vulnerable drones here, it's a straight up muta versus muta fight. And it seems like the numbers are just in favor of A-Bug here. Well, we do have some clutch Scourge come out and get some big damage here, and actually Type 100 pulls ahead.
Ooh, man.
Wow. Yeah, Type 100 actually has a significant lead here. Keeps the 3rd base alive, even gets the 3rd gas. And that is going to translate into huge muta leads, although Type 100 already has a bunch of gas in the bank, so maybe not super critical just yet. Oh, and so I see both of these armor upgrades. Okay, so I didn't realize this. Type 100 has the armor upgrade done, and A-Bug is just now getting it. And the thing is, like, the muta attacks bounce twice, so the armor gets applied 3 times. So armor is like a big upgrade. And that's probably why we saw some of these fights go that way.
Well, and they just got the 2nd armor upgrade.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Here we go. We're gonna have another big fight here. We have 11 mutas, and not Scourge this time, but some Lings on the ground versus 10 muta and a bunch of Scourge. The thing about these Lings is they can actually like soak hits when the muta bounces on them. They kind of still help in this fight. Oh my god, the Scourge again. Doing big damage. Some reinforced mutas here. Got a bit of confusion here on the side of A-Bug. Doesn't know what to do with this mutas. Running all over the place. The Lings are focusing down the hatchery though. But so much free damage is being dealt here due to like this indecision. Now we're trying to focus down these drones, but Type 100 doing a really good job chasing. Yeah, these mutas are all getting cleaned up. A-Bug doing who's winning? Yeah, sorry, Type 100 doing a great job with this control here. Absolutely cleaning up and like not losing any mutas because A-Bug just wouldn't make the call to just fight. Run line is in danger. We have Pete in the chat hyping up Type 100 here.
I mean, at this point, it doesn't even matter that he didn't have the colonies.
Yeah. So we do have the Queen's Nest and its snare being researched here, but I think it's just too late. I think he wanted that kind of trick when the numbers were kind of even, and now there's enough mutas here from Type 100 to just focus down these spore colonies. Still some Scourge left over. I don't see how Ava can recover. Yes, 20 drones to 6. The Spire itself is in danger. I think A-Bug is just digesting the loss. And there you go. Type 100 takes the series 2-1.
GG!
And that's going to actually put the Flying SCVs up 0-2 so far. So we'll have to see if Statues can take a series for the Cheese Police, or if it'll be a clean sweep. Alright, and if you liked that mirror matchup, you're going to be excited for Terran versus Terran. Basically the exact opposite.
Is that just turtle for 20 minutes and then
it can be. We'll talk about that in the game here. Alright, here in the top right in the is this black? Yeah, I think this is black or dark gray Terran. It's Keikus fighting for the Flying SCVs. And in the bottom left, the green Terran Statues. So, TBT is infamous for being the longest matchup on average.
Excellent.
Basically because siege tanks exist. You know, it makes the defender's advantage very strong. It makes controlling terrain very valuable. So when the game gets long, it turns into these like giant lines of siege tanks that like split the map in half. And like players try to make movements with like drops and stuff, but it's kind of like a zero-sum game. And then like if it gets really late, like they start making battle cruisers and Yamato cannoning.
I was gonna say, like, is that what decides it? Is the Yamato cannon? Basically?
Like yeah, like that's like the end game. But like that's when like every base on the map is being mined, and you need like you make like 6 starports making battle cruisers. The thing is like it's hard to have a game go that long because it's like that means that you kind of have to succeed at all of the difficulty checks up to that point, right? And like TBT is really hard, and we're in the CPL, right? We're not in the ASL. So a lot of the CPL games that we see in TBT end on like 1 or 2 bases because one player kind of makes a fumble somewhere. I say this every time, and like it's been true all but twice. I think I see one player go for a 2 factory push on one base, and the other player goes for like 1 factory expand, and the 1 factory expand player wins every time. Because the 2 factory is just too slow, and the 1 factory player can just like get a siege tank and hold out the whole attack.
Really?
Yeah.
So is it just he takes that 1 siege tank and basically holds the ramp and prevents the other player from advancing?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Like I think when you get to higher levels, like the 2 factory player is willing to accept that and like just kind of contains the opponent and then gets more bases later. But what I see a lot in the CPL is the 2 factory player feels like they have to kill them, and they end up losing too many units in the attack.
Well, and that's kind of an interesting trade-off where it's like, okay, I accept that you have effectively defended your like first base, but I'm going to use that against you.
Yeah, I mean that is
and like keep you stuck.
Yeah, like that is a thing that I've heard Terran players say all the time, is that like controlling space on the map is more important than how many bases you have right now. Because if you think about if you're planning for one of those split map games, if you can control just 1 more base on the map than your opponent, then you'll just have more money. Like so, like if you think about the map being split in half perfectly, then like both players have the same money. But like if you take one of the bases on their side, then you're going to be 2 bases up basically.
Yeah, in the long run, you're going to be making.
Yeah,
you're going to have more resources available.
So that is kind of what you're supposed to do when you go 2 factory. And look, oh my God, did I call it or what? We had 2 factories against 1 factory expand.
Okay, well we'll just have to see if your assumption holds true.
Yeah. But so the thing, so Keiku's is only making vultures, not a machine shop just yet. There's still plenty of time here, but vultures are not nearly as solid on the defense as siege tanks are. Oh, never mind. It's not 2 factory. It's 3 factory. So statues is like just gonna make vultures. This is a thing that I see more in like higher level streams. I can't think of the last time I've seen it in CPL, but I think it's really strong. Like you just make so many vultures that your opponent can't deal with it, and like surely 1 factory vulture should lose to 3 factory vulture. Well, we do have this 2nd factory and the machine shop coming up here. So if Keiku's like really turtles up with some siege tanks and maybe like some depots to wall off, he should stay alive from the vultures, but that would give like ultimate map control to statues.
Do you think that's really how this map's going to come down? It's just map control?
I think so. I think that's like the purpose of this 3 factory vulture is like you have a good chance to kill them, and if you don't, you just like lay mines everywhere and then you take the whole map. Let's see here. Statue's getting the critical first shots here on that vulture, doing some very good moving shot here, chasing down this vulture of Keiku's, and the vulture speed upgrade is almost done for statues here, which is only going to lock down the map even more. We do have a 3rd factory coming up from Keiku's.
Are you seeing that barracks?
Oh yeah, this is normal. Like you just don't make marines, so you just scout with the barracks.
Oh,
like you make like 1 to 3 marines at most, because marines die to every other Terran unit. Like
as we see.
Yeah, there's you never ever make marines in this matchup, so people just scout with the barracks.
Given what we were seeing of like, oh well, never mind. I was gonna say, given what we were seeing with Statue's ability to like run and gun with his vultures, I was kind of surprised you just let them sit there.
Yeah, you're right. Although now. The 3 factory production has kicked online. What are these units doing? They're hanging out over here. SCVs are going down for Keiku's. There's a bunker here, but there's no one to man it. We do have 3 vultures here. For Keiku's, he has got these factories up. And actually, Keiku's starting to throw in a Goliath. It's a funny thing where, like, Goliaths they're normally not that good first ground units, but they beat vultures. So you see them a lot when you're trying to hold off vultures. Oh, we have a big wave of reinforcements here from statues. I think this is probably a mistake, actually. I think these should have been here a lot sooner. Is it going to be enough? This 1 Goliath will actually take a ton of hits from vultures, and it might be enough here to...
Yeah, especially if he's not trying to kill it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, so with that whole damage system, vultures deal concussive damage, which is max damage versus small units, which is, I think a vulture itself is medium. So they deal like half damage to a vulture, but they deal a quarter damage to a large unit, like a Goliath. So they deal 5 damage per shot to a Goliath. So the Goliath basically does not care. Alright, so we have statues trying to get up their own command center here, but now Keiku's is the one containing their opponent with these mines. The funny thing is that vultures don't trigger mines though, so it's more for the tanks and Goliaths later. Actually, it might have been an overextension. The Goliath might get, like, poked to death here, eventually. Very, very slowly. There we go, it does go down. There's more here to defend. So it kind of seems like a very close game now. Like with a slight lead for Keiku's with his worker count. And with the armory being done and the attack upgrade being started here.
At this point, are they now both just basically doing the 3 factory?
Yeah, I mean, that's like what's going on here. I think we saw a tank being produced. Yeah, so the tanks absolutely shut down vultures, unless they're like way outnumbered, unless you have like sick a micro with the mines. Oh, and we have a tank for statues too. So it seems like we are stabilizing into a more normal game here. Right, so we might see one of those long TBTs now. The +1 actually, like statues, a +1 attack is not that far behind Keku, so this is actually a very close game. Like in terms of the builds, it's like very similar right now. Both players going back to being a defensive. They have enough fighting in the middle of the map for now.
This is kind of what you're talking about, like basically just creating lines of siege tanks.
Yeah, it's like eventually I think one of them will try to contain the opponent, and like the other one will try to siege up as far away from their base as possible. So you know, like if they're sieging up here, it's a lot better for the defender than if they're sieging up like here, right?
Yeah.
But I think both players are not confident in their ability to cross the map yet, given that there's like mines and the tank count isn't super high yet. You can finally scare off the scouting barracks here. Keku's doing his due diligence and checking all of the bases. Very important skill. A third command center starts for statues. I think this might be a deviation here, depending on what sort of follow-up we see. Wait, hold on, it's statues, and Keku's is the one not expanding just yet. I think I've got these names confused more than once. I like this, repairing a tank. Like, you like never see that. There's always just like a Terran tank that's like 30 HP for the longest time. Because it's just like too much hassle to go repair it. But look at that. Statues cares. Barracks is being yellowed in here. Does see the command center. What kind of reaction is that going to trigger from Keku's? And like, it's only 3 factories here for statues to the 4 of Keku's. So like, hypothetically, Keku's should have the advantage on the attack. +1 for Keku's is done. It's about to be followed up by the +1 from statues. But these tanks don't seem to be moving out. So it seems like these vultures are going to poke around here. But there's enough tanks here for statues they can scare away the vultures, surely. And I really want to know what the follow-up is going to be here for Keku's. Looks like we are seeing a third command center.
Well, and especially now that Statues moved his little line of siege tanks, I'm surprised Keku's isn't, as you said, basically pushing the line forward.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Keku's is planning. It seems like he decided to just kind of follow up, do the same thing as his opponent. We're seeing a much faster starport. So the starport, it allows for further upgrades. When you get the science facility, it lets you get the level 2 and level 3 upgrades on the armory for your vehicles, and it does allow for dropships and wraiths, which can make a difference in this matchup. But I don't know. I feel like there was a window where maybe Keku's could have contested this third base, but now there's 2 tanks and 2 Goliaths up here. He does get some nice SCV kills, but he's unable to shut down the base.
Yeah, not enough for it to really matter.
Yeah. Seems like very similar builds coming out from both players, just slightly different orders and how they build these buildings. I feel like Statues is going to be a little bit ahead, though, with this third command center being landed much faster. Somebody's scanning the map. I think it's Statues checking for stuff. I don't know. The third command center for Keku's is going to be able to land safely. Statues is going to... Actually, that might have been... Oh yeah, that was Keku's scanning to look for mines to make sure that it wasn't being blocked. Believe me, as a Protoss player, it fucking sucks having your expansion being blocked by mines. It's the worst.
Is that a flying unit from statues up in the north? Or is that a vulture?
It's a eBay from Keku's and a vulture from statues.
Okay.
We do have the science facility done here. Ooh, I think... Oh, we have a dropship coming out for Keku's. This might be... We might see a play here by dropping a few units here behind the mineral line or on these tanks or something like that. Or even right on the army of statues. That is one of the ways to break open a game of TVT.
What units would you drop in? Just other siege tanks?
Like tanks and vultures. Mostly. Like, sometimes you see, like, fleets of, like, 6 drop ships, like, drop half your army on the opponent, and then you move in with the rest of it while they fight it. Like, stuff like that. It's basically like vultures are the best at killing SCVs, but tanks are the hardest to kill. So it's kind of a trade-off. We have a very nice defensive line for statues here, and one as well for Keku's. Both players just like being super defensive. Not really, you know, trying to advance these tank lines forward at all. Trying to play it safe here. Where'd that dropship go? Here it is. Get that selected so I can see what's going on. Statues clearly thinks there's some kind of drop action going on because they've got all these Goliaths in their main base. Maybe they're just stuck with the padding, I don't know.
Well, and I feel like they have been scanning a lot, so... Or at least someone has.
Yeah. I can't really tell who's scanning what. It's nice in StarCraft 2, it puts like a colored, like little scanny spinny thing on the mini-map so you can see what's going on, but there's no such technology here back in 1998. So
I want to say that those last couple were statues scanning Keku's.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So both players are getting close to getting this +2 attack upgrade done. And the thing about that is it's really important in this matchup because a tank with +2 attack, 2 shots another tank. Whereas without that upgrade, it takes 3 shots. So, you know, it's a huge increase in like effective damage.
I mean, if he was in a position to attack now, he would probably have like a 30-second to a minute.
Yeah. Oh man, look, it seems like he heard you because everything on siege right when you said that. He's like, oh, all right, I'll go then. Might be trying to fight for this 4th base. Oh, we actually do have statues coming to contest this 4th base before Keku's even gets it. Finally, we're going to see a big fight here. And it might be a bit of an anti-timing from statues because his +2 is, like you said, like 30 seconds behind. Seems like not too much commitment, though. Does back out after losing only a few vultures. This 4th command center does start. But we do already have the 4th command center done for statue. Just gonna fly out. I'm curious to see like if these bases are taken in this matchup because like in a lot of the other matchups, these bottom right bases are really important because basically if you control one, you can control both of them. So it's kind of like 2 bases for the price of 1. There we go.
It looks like that command center's going up to the north.
Oh, it's going to keep going? No. Okay, there we go. So this base actually has 2 gas geysers on it, so it can be really important to hold on to. Because gas is really your limited resource. Oh, we have a big move out here. +2 attack is not yet done. 4 statues. We're going to see how much of a difference that makes. The army from Keku's is split up here. Whereas we have everything from statues. Just probably in here. The +2 attack does finish, so they're on an even ground for now. I think statues has held this off here. Like, I think maybe Keku's like sieged up too many tanks too far away.
Yeah.
So wasn't able to push too far in here.
Now, with Keku's, is that a 3rd attack upgrade after the armor in his queue?
Yes. I don't think it makes a big difference in tank versus tank, but it can still help with like, you know, tanks versus other units or like vulture versus vulture and stuff like that. Oh, here we go. So Statue's trying to make a push on the 4th. There's only 4 tanks here to defend. Looks like Statues can just run over that without even sieging himself. Needs to siege it up on this ramp before the reinforcements come up. This is good enough too. Defenders will have to go up this choke. And there, yeah, it seems like Keiko's is going to concede this 4th base to try to stop the damage here. Oh, these SCVs they're living on the edge right now. Oops, the wrong button. There we go. Oh no, these units are misrallied. Donating a few free units. It is only 6 tanks left, or 4 tanks left for Statues. I know how to count. I promise.
That's a good positioning.
Yeah, but it is a very good positioning. Like, Keiko's is going to take more losses trying to kill these tanks. Where happened to that dropship? It's still... There's 2 dropships now. They're just hanging out. They haven't picked anything up yet. Here we go. Keiko's is pushing through. We'll be able to reclaim this 4th base. And this might be bad for Statues trying to expand here in the top left.
I feel like the trade-off was probably worth it, right?
Well, it'll be good for Statues unless he dies right now.
Which looks like that might happen.
Yeah, these 3 tanks on the cliff get distracted by these vultures rather than like hitting this big meaty army here, and that means that all these tanks are going to get up here, and they're going to threaten the 4th base of Statues. Both players siege up here, but Keiko's gets a decent lead. You can see how much these tanks get annihilated once +2 is on the board. A bunch of reinforcements showing up, but just a few seconds too late, I think.
It does look like Keiko's is going to get +3.
Here we go. Oh, Statues. More free units get donated. The 4th is being set up. SCVs don't know what they're doing. They're sending to the rocket mist. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe Statues is just barely held on here. I really thought that Keiko's was just going to roll through there, but I guess his reinforcements got here just in time. This space being alive is like a crime. Like this should like like 1 tank should go over there and just kill it. But Keiko's is, there's too many other things going on. Ooh, we have a side push here. It seems like the Statues maybe brought those reinforcements to save the 4th from here. And now there's nothing sieged up just yet. Keiko's trying to lay mines to kill these tanks, but they get cleaned up at the last second. Can this unsieged force run in here? I think it can. And this could be pretty bad if Keiko's can kind of like seal off the main and natural here.
Uh-oh, but all those mines.
Mines are very close. Oh, a nice flank here from Statues might be enough to clean this up. I don't know, it's very close. Reinforcing tanks coming to shore up the siege. Oh, we have the 1 Wraith. It's gonna slowly plink away at these tanks. 8 damage at a time.
Oh, well, you got those SCVs. They're the real heroes.
Statues, yeah. Statues still has like 15 more SCVs though, which is, nice. Something happened here too. Like the defender, I think maybe Statues like pulled some defenders off at the 4th base, and now it's actually 2 tanks to 5. I feel like maybe Keiko's could force that. But back at the natural, the Wraith has cleaned up the attempt at a contain. This game was kind of cool for a while, but now it's, we've had constant fights for like the last 8 minutes, I think. Oh, we have a bunch of Wraiths. I thought it was just 1 Wraith. So these tanks we force 2 or 3. The thing is, like, they do terrible damage. Like, they're like objectively bad units, but just having an air unit that can shoot ground units is so valuable that it's still worth making, especially if you catch your opponent off guard here.
Well, I mean, it's doing exactly what he wants. It's pushing those siege tanks away.
Yeah, like, he actually could fight this base. Like, there's not even an E-base, so he can't even make turrets yet. Oh, here we go. The Wraiths are coming back to defend the natural again. Starting to do some decent damage here on these tanks. So even though Keiko's is winning the ground battle, there's no Goliaths here. There's nothing to fight these Wraiths. It's starting to get to the point where I feel like Keiko's should start making some Valkyries. Because those can clean up a lot of Wraiths very quickly. We finally have the dropship here, but it has nothing in it. It's just going to die to Wraiths for no reason. Oh, he misclicked on one of his own Wraiths. Oh no. Big oof.
Well, now we get Goliaths, but are they?
Oh, a Goliath absolutely murder race. Like, it's not even close. If there's any, like, decent amount of Goliath. I think, like, one Goliath beats, like, 3 Wraiths or something. And one Wraith costs more than one Goliath. Like, it's absolutely stupid. So let's see here. Keku's might have stabilized against the threat of the Wraiths by mixing in so many Goliaths here. Just trying to get this force ready to kill the 4th. We have some more Wraiths here. The Goliaths are not quite caught up, so these tanks have to back up one more time. The Wraiths are being...
Well, it looks like he's upgrading the attack on the Wraiths, but if it seems like at this point the Wraiths are done...
Yeah, it could mean that he's planning to transition into PCs. It's like we are getting to the point where almost the whole map is taken. But a bunch of tanks show up for statues. Is it going to be enough? The Wraiths are kind of getting murdered here. Actually, not that many tanks left for statues. I feel like Keku should just unsiege. I think I've said that like several times, that one player should just unsiege and go in here.
Well, it looks like he is kind of inching forward a little bit at a time.
Some defenders desperately racing in here. Trying to cover the ramp at least. Just as Keku's moves forward. Now the mineral line is in danger. This SCV count is going to be cut down just a little bit. Still, this base in the top left, completely undefended. Just mining from both gases, trying to steal as many resources from the map as possible until it does get found out. And right as I say that, we have a bunch of vultures streaming in the top left. The base is done for, and if this SCVs retreat, they're going to go right into all these tanks. They're actually going to the right. Did not see that going, but they're still going to get mowed down.
Oof.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about, like, sometimes when we see players go for a hidden base, they put like a bunch of money into defending it. Like if it's like a Protoss, to put like 12 cannons there, and like I just think that's not worth it. Like I think like you're going to like those cannons aren't going to defend it if the enemy finds it. So I think it's actually really smart the statues didn't defend this base.
Yeah.
Like he just soaked up a ton of gas. So even if Keku does take the space, like it won't be as valuable as it would have been. I think that's the smart way to play hidden base.
Well, and again with that, you know, like Protoss example, like how much is like a cannon? 150 minerals?
Yeah, which is like the same as a gateway or like a dragoon, pretty much. So like you could just have more units on the map with that.
Which, like, depending upon the timing, that might be clutch. Like, 12 more, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit different for terrain, because, like, a bunker needs marines in it, so you don't really make, like, round turrets. You just make tanks. Anyway, in here we have Kekus with a huge attack, and actually Statues decides he cannot weather it. Kekus wins this marathon game of TVT. Actually pretty solid. Like, I was a little worried that we're just going to see both players, like, sit in their base and max out, but once they started fighting, they did not stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Just constant.
And I feel like from both sides, we saw good fighting.
Yeah. Lots of good engagements from both players. Let's get into game 2. Back on fighting spirit. The ancient map that existed before civilization. Alright, here in the top left, it's Keku's in the magenta, the winner of the first game, and in the bottom left, now in the brown Terran, Statues, pulling out those Wraiths, but not getting enough damage with them.
So, what do you think was the one thing that match came down to?
I mean, I don't think it was like one thing. Like when it gets to a game like that's that long, it's not really like a one mistake kind of game. I think it was just like slightly better fights for Keku's. And like a lot of money went into the race. By the way, this is like that's wrong. By the way, like Statues had way more SCVs. I love that like how hard it is to tell what position you're actually in the game. It's funny to see the players talk about that. I think it was just like Statues just didn't like line of his tanks as well, and like it could have been that like he had too much supply in SCVs, which like limited supply in his army. I don't know. I don't know what the ideal SCV count is. So it's probably going to be a while before we see what builds the players are going. Because like I said, like you just don't make Marines. Like you can cheese by like putting 2 barracks in the middle of the map, but that's not even that good because SCVs actually have more HP than Marines. So like if the defender
Really?
does, yeah, oh yeah, because Marines only have 40 health and SCVs have 60, and like there's actually this like I don't know if it's a bug or what, but like you can actually make SCVs attack faster if you spam right click. So like if you can do that really good on a bunch of SCVs, like you can totally kill a Marine push with just the workers.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, they kind of seem to be relatively in line with each other.
Yeah, it's like you don't really deviate until after your first factory, unless you're going for like a really early, like a command center first or something like that. But I never see that in the CPL, dude. Now that I'm no longer playing in this season, I can just say that I went 12 Nexus like more than half of all of my games, and like nobody knew how to deal with it because they're not used to people being that greedy. Like I won every game. I went 12 Nexus.
What's 12 Nexus? Is
it's
that like 12 probes?
Yeah, it's like just get a Nexus before anything else. And like people just don't do that in like our level of play, so nobody knew what to do with it.
What was the advantage of that strategy?
Well, like you just get a second base really early. And it was in PvP because like I played like 2 Zerg players and the rest were all Protoss, and I played against no Terran this season. And like it's like a really dumb build in Protoss versus Protoss, where like if they don't know how to deal with it, you just get like a free win. And nobody knew how to deal with it, so I got a bunch of free wins. It's pretty sick. But like, yeah, I wonder like why people don't do a similar thing in TBT more often. It's like you can go command center first, and like it's a long time before they would even scout it really. Anyway, in this game, we're finally seeing some builds. Statues is going for the 3 factories again, and once again, Keiku's is going for this 1 factory expand. So it's a very similar lineup to what we saw last time. I think Statues got the machine shop much earlier last time. I don't know how much difference that makes in the actual push, but we saw that like Keiku's handled this very well the first time around. Like really didn't take that much damage. It was like equal at best after the push, so I would expect it to go similarly.
Well, do you think like Keikus is kind of operating on the assumption of like, well, it worked well in the first match. I learned from my mistakes. I'll do it again in this one and see if I can win.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to just have a build and practice that a lot. I talked about it before, like, it's, you know, just because you lost with a build doesn't mean that, like, the build's not good, right? Like, it's completely fine to do the same build more than once. I like mixing it up. Like, I know I just said that I go 12 next every time, but, like, I try to do it, like, once or twice at most in a series and then do something else. Just because, like, I think that's part of the fun of playing in a series. It's, like, getting in all these mind games with builds and stuff. But, like, it's probably objectively the best way to improve in the game is just do the same build every time.
You know, practice makes perfect.
Exactly. Here we go. So I wonder like how much information you can sniff out from like when the vultures pop out. Certainly this barracks should be flying over, checking out the factories. But now that we're gonna see 3 more vultures pop out, like Keku should know that it's the 3 factory thing again. So what are we going to see in response to that? We're getting a machine shop going up to 3 factories ourselves. Last time there was a bunker, but like all the Marines got killed before they got in the bunker, so it wasn't any help. And we have mines being researched this time much earlier than last time, I think. If the mines can get up like before the fight goes off, the mines might actually make a huge difference here. Against any tanks. I think we have a vulture lead here. 4 statues. Yeah, actually like a 2 vulture lead, but is the micro better for Keikus? The count is evened up now, and now these SCVs should tip the fight. They do, and now, actually, despite being down on units when that fight started, Keikus is up now. Oh, but again, there's a bunker with no Marines in it. Time is a closed circle. Oh, the SCVs have to fight once more against these fast reinforcements from statues. Oh my god, the Marine dies right on the doorstep of the bunker. Makes a huge difference. Goliath killing this barracks. The Goliath actually will be really strong against this vulture tech, but it is vulnerable to mines. Alright. Statue's gonna try to lay mines here, but they get popped right away. Nice micro from Keikus to focus down the mines, because if they hit like the Goliath, they get splashed on the SCVs. Although now, actually, there's not that many units left. There's just 2 Goliaths. Several SCVs have gone down. Keikus has to be really careful not to overextend with these Goliaths. Oh, statues. I think this game is going very differently here. There's mines all over the base. Vultures in their line, but they get surrounded by SCVs and killed. Oh, there we go. Big mine hit. Takes out a bunch of units. And I think statues has cracked it this time.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, he's effectively blocked off that expansion.
Yeah. There's a tank desperately trying to come out of this factory. It'll be much stronger against the vultures, but the mines will still be dangerous. Let's see, what is the follow-up here? It seems like Statues is just continuing to build vultures. Actually has 3 guys in gas, so he has over 1,000 gas he's just not spending because he's only making vultures. Probably a slight optimization you could make there, but it's fine. Keiku's just deciding to give up on the natural for now, trying to wall off the ramp. Do a decent job with this tank. Statue's actually a bit disorganized there, losing a bunch of vultures for basically nothing. There's so many mines, though.
Do you think it's that he got distracted, moved the screen, didn't see what was going on?
That's probably what that's what happens like 90% of the time when you see a unit just like wander into the army and die. It's because the player was like building it somewhere else or something. Like that happens even in the Korean tournaments. You just watch like a Reaver like walking through a siege tank line, and it's just because the player went somewhere else, like build probes or something. Alright, so Keiku's won't die, but still not as good as they were in the previous game. Statues is up 8 workers, getting their own natural command center. They've built up a bunch of vultures. There's so many mines. I think, yeah, we have a scanner, but like, can you even kill all of these mines in the duration of one scan? I don't know. Gonna try to save this command center, like just lift off the command center. Vultures can't hit area units. It happens so often with Terran players. They just forget that they're allowed to do that. But Statues does decide not to fight the tanks. Backs up and lets his opponent take the natural back. But honestly, like, at this point, like Statues is almost done with their own natural. Has more workers. Is going to be ahead here. Got a very fast starport. Wonder if we're going to see Wraiths again, or maybe a dropship. Seems to be setting up for...
If we see a dropship, do you think it will be used?
I really hope so. It happens so often that people just build a transport and they kind of forget about it. Oh, we got a Wraith. So we saw a Wraith get some value done in the last game, but not like any game-changing damage, I would say. There's already a bunch of Goliaths. There's turrets. Yep, there's turrets for Keiku's. So the Wraiths aren't going to do like a game over, but they could. It could be like a nice choice with this fast third. If we see that, like it could stop pushes, I guess. I think we're gonna go back to that phase we had in the first game where there's not much combat going on. Oh, right as I say that, a caster curse does kick in, and this time Statues is going to try to reinforce this contain with siege tanks, which might work, especially when it's backed up by all these mines.
Mm-hmm. Now, a few of those are Keikus's mines, but
Yeah, it's really hard to, like, the team color is so small on these mines.
yeah.
So especially, like, you're watching on Discord, it's probably like 2 pixels.
Now, is statues blocking off the only way in and out of Keikus's area
So actually, one of the big
by
things
land?
on Fighting Spirit is that you have this, like, secret path, not like secret, like, protected path to your third base. So this is not keeping Keiku's contained 100%, but, like, this is the path that you take your army on. Because, like, otherwise you have to go up this tiny ramp and go through your own base and go down this tiny base. So it's not like a completely tight contained, but it's still dangerous. And Statues actually has this vulture camping on the ramp, so he'll at least know when Keiku's tries to break out here. Both players kind of poking here, not committing to the fight, trying to clear up lines. Just get a slightly better position. The Wraith here patrolling, looking for dropships, looking for buildings. Seems like it was just one Wraith, just for the value here.
Looks like Statues is getting the attack upgrade.
Oh yeah,
first.
actually. Yeah. Very bigly here. Okay, Goose is trying to break out here. I don't know about this. There's a lot of siege tanks. Vulture's going to run up here, maybe lay some mines on the tank line of K-Goose. Big volleys going on both sides, and actually it looks like K-Goose has busted out. Maybe. God, I'm so bad at calling these fights, man. It's like one tank volley changes everything. It's 1 tank to 2. Trying to creep over here. Third command center finally gets started for Statues, but basically once Keikus is broken, they contain, so Keikus could get their own third base or try to punish it. And going up to 5 factories seems like a more threatening kind of play. Vulture trying to lay mines, Wraith trying to kill mines. Denying this turret at the last second, but a Goliath just scare away the Wraith. Oh no, Statues overextending, walking into this little tank line here. Wisely backing up. Their command center is done. I don't see any base coming along for Keiku's, just these 5 factories. Actually making a bunch of Goliaths and Vultures, only 1 factory with machine shop. Might make it harder to bust a tank line.
Well, and it could be that Keikus is expecting another, like, big Wraith.
Yeah, and we are seeing Statues, like, kind of trickle in some Wraiths. So Statues has had to, like, give up a lot of ground here, but Keikus is kind of like still far away from actually threatening this third base here. So Statues should be okay with this situation.
Is that a command center floating to the right?
This one's a
Oh, no,
barracks.
just barracks. Okay.
I don't know where it's going. Maybe just looking for hidden bases. Oh, we do have a number of Vultures here breaking out, going around the contain. Seems like they're headed right for this base. Maybe Keiku's just scanned it. Or not yet, but might have it sniffed out anyway. Laying some mines on the reinforcement path, trying to get some cheap kills on some tanks. Very close here. Oh my god, this mine. How is it not triggered on these tanks yet? Come on. Oh my god.
It just... Oh, is the SCV going to trigger it?
So actually, it doesn't trigger on units that hover, which is... Oh, there you go. Well, it did. Which is workers, vultures, and, like, archons, and maybe defilers. Like, there's a very small number of units that hover, so they don't trigger, like, the, like, seismic mine. Alright, since we've reached the critical amount of tanks, so they just don't die to mines. starport here from Keiko's is flying around. You don't see that very often. Again, like Statue's getting away with a hidden base here. That's not like it's barely even hidden. It's gonna make a huge difference.
Like that just seems weird to like scout with your like starport. I feel like that's a far more important ship or a base.
Yeah. Like it's more valuable than the barracks and the eBay. That's for sure. Maybe it was like a misclick because it's going back now. Alright, so Statues has this line here, but it does technically let Keiko's get out here to the right. Keiko's trying to bust in here with the Vultures, but the tanks are not controlled at the same time, so actually a big loss there for Keiko's. His army being really split up here. I think Statues is going to win this fight.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Keiko's decides that was too ugly, does not want to deal with it. Maybe he's scouted the third base. And that's going to take us to game 3. Alright, this is going to be the last game of the night here. Alright, at the 12 o'clock, the Banana Terran, it's Keiko's. And at the bottom right, it's the Purple Terran Statues.
Okay, who do you think is going to win?
Well, I think it might be Statues, because we've seen that Statues likes the 3-Factory Vulture, and I think this map should be really good for that. Because we talked about like how the ramp is flat, or like the choke is flat. Like that's usually better for the attacking player, and I feel like it'd be so hard to break out from a contain in your natural in this map. Like, 'cause your natural, like you go into this like small flat area surrounded by cliffs, so that should be like a Siege Tank's dream, right? I don't know. By the way, I love how much Terran players complain about TVT. Like it's to the point where like sometimes on ladder people will instantly quit when they get a TVT. Like
they were actually talking about that in the first match.
Yeah. It's like I just love it. Like I have this whole rant that I go on. Like people hate mirror matchups for some reason, but like I feel like the reasons that Terran hate playing the mirror matchup is the reason that everyone else hates playing Terran, and like the reason that Protoss hate playing PvP is like the same reasons that everyone hates playing versus Protoss, and like the same thing with Zerg. Like I feel like it's like people get like a taste of their own medicine and they can't handle it.
But shouldn't that in a way almost make you, I don't know, like a better player, because you're in real time seeing an alternative strategy being done, or just a better version of your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously like dealing with like the Siege Tank lines is very frustrating, but like I feel like that's what I hate against playing. That's what I hate about playing against Terran at all. Is like if my army is like slightly out of position, I take a bunch of free tank hits. Like it's the same thing. And like I think in general maybe the reason that people hate mirror matchups is like if you make one mistake then you're just behind, because you kind of have the same thing. It's not like, well, if I lost my zealots against the Zerg player, at least I can rely on like Psystorm to try to equal it out. Like if it's a PvP and I lose my zealots for free, well then he just has more zealots, and he still has his own Templar to do Storm. Yeah. So like it can feel like really, I don't want to say claustrophobic, but like really like you have a very narrow margin of error in that sense. But that's why I do goofy shit like 12 Nexus rather than play a fair game in mirror matchups. But like I like it as a spectator too. Like I like oh okay, both these players have the same tools. What are they gonna do with it? Mm-hmm. Like I think that's one of the really cool things about StarCraft. Like is self expression. Like, Artosis has talked about this, but like it's like there's so much to do in the game. Like it's literally humanly impossible to do all of the things that you have to do. So like what you choose to do says a lot about you, right? And like what strategies you choose to do, and like, you know, like what builds you practice, and like stuff like that. Like it's like you choose all that, so it's a meaningful expression of who you are in a little way, right? Like as much as a video game can be. So I like mirror matchups for that reason. Like we have statues going for the same build every time. Like this 3-factory Vulture, which says like, okay, statues likes being aggressive. You know, he likes like being on the edge here and like having the game come down to this one big attack, which I hate. I hate that feeling. Like I hate doing all-ins because I hate having like the entire game come down to one fight. But like statues is kind of fine with that. Like it's not really an all-in build, but like it still comes down to how good that first fight with all your vultures does, right? Oh, speaking of, we have a bunch of Marines here. I did not catch this. So Keiku's does not want to play in a long game. Keiku's is actually going for a 2-factory build instead of an expansion like they did for the first 2 games. And these Marines, like, they're very squishy, but this early in the game, they might add some good DPS. I feel like if any build is going to kill Marines, it'll be 3-factory Vulture, because Marines get 2-shot by Vultures. We'll have to see here. But, like, if you get this many Marines, you are going to basically all in with them. See here, so this barracks is going to see the 2 factories, won't see all of the Marines, but now these Vultures will, and they definitely have to back up. I think you want to get mines, I guess, or just get as many Vultures as possible. Maybe like sit right here to this tiny choke to kill as many units as possible. I don't know.
Well, Statues has started researching mines.
Yeah,
so.
You'll see here. Oh, but these Marines, they're way too far forward. They're going to get absolutely mopped up by these Vultures if they actually shoot. There we go. The tank is here to back them up.
I mean, that's a nice, like, microplay by Statues. In, out, in, out, in, out.
Yeah. There's some sick stuff you can do with Vultures. Like, it's like if you use the patrol command at like a 90-degree angle, the Vultures basically like don't stop moving. And like if you can do that good enough, like one Vulture can kill Infinity Zerglings if you're good enough in micro, like stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, but actually that's not what's happening here. These tanks from Keiku's just kind of consistently dealing damage to these Vultures. I think mines are done, but this many tanks will probably just kill mines. We'll see. Statues needs a miracle here. Does get one tank. Oh, these mines are really close. Oh, that one gets killed right at the last second. Oh, man, I think Keiku's done it. Building a bunker.
That SCV is a hero.
I mean, it like body blocked that mine. It was pretty sick. There's a bunker being built here, but who cares? Because there's 3 tanks in the base of Statues. He has one of his own tanks. He gets focused down immediately. SCV is actually really good against tanks, but I don't know if it's enough.
Oh, is it from like the splash damage against themselves?
Yeah, and like they have 60 health, and tanks deal like half damage to them and all that good stuff. But like if the tank player can kite good enough, this is fine. And like Terranus, like a Statues is not minding what goes on. Oh my god, they got it! The citizens arrest. The Warcraft 3 surround on the tank. But there's more of them. Oh, a tank pops up from Statues. I think Keiku's has it. I think he's done it. I think these SCVs are not going to do it. Statues taps out. What a series. There we go. And that's actually going to be a clean sweep, a 3-0 for the flying SCV team.
Man.
All right.
Very impressive.
Yeah, that was a fun set of games. We saw a lot of different stuff. You know, we saw players stick to their strategies. We saw players try out new things. That was good. So if you enjoyed that, there will be lots of playoff casts this week. We're going to try to cast every game from the semifinals. That should pretty much be going on every night, so make sure to check out the CPL Discord for announcements of when that happens. I will try to cast again, at least maybe again this week, definitely next week. And of course, John and I stream other games sometimes too. So if you don't hate us, check that out.
Yeah. Especially if you want to experience some really great voice acting.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna try to find somebody else who's streaming StarCraft to host, and then we will get out of here. All right. Well, a bunch of these players are Korean. I don't know how to type Korean characters into the thing. Let's see if I can copy and paste here. Does that work? No, it does not work. All right. So I'll have to pick someone whose name is in English. Here we go. All right. I have no idea who this is, but they're streaming StarCraft. Tell them hello for me. And thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye.